Well, it was a bad dream, all right, but it was all real, and he wasn't a clown, and I kept shaking my little head back and forth, no, 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 because I wanted to remember him for what he was and not for what he wanted me to think he was. The next thing I notice is I'm on, this the next morning, I'm laying in my bed, and he's gone, and my parents came in, of course, and I looked at them, and I just never said anything. But I was so visibly upset that the next night they put me between the bed, which is real unusual, and I was grateful for that to happen because I was really frightened about what they might, about them might come. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe this one will come back, whatever it was. And the next night there, I was in between my parents. I told my mother this year, she's 84 years old now, and I just told her this story, and she was just shocked, and she said, "But how can you remember this?" And I said, "Because I was there, Mom." And I said, "You had me sleeping between you and Dad. Dad sleeps on his right side." She said, "That's true." And I said, "You sleep with your arm over your face like this?" She said, "I do." And I said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because I was there, Mom." What, you guys? And I woke up immediately. I realized something was wrong. It was the same feeling I had the night before, and there were two of them standing at the end of the bed. The same guy that was there last night and one that looked just like him. Now, how I know the difference between the two, I can't explain. But I guarantee you, if I saw that first cosmic skinhead in a herd of a million of them out there, I could pick him out, and I don't know why.
I haven't heard that term before, cosmic skinhead.
That's what he is.
Now, did you get like an overall, I know you said he was trying to convince you that it was a clown, and you were scared. I mean, that's obvious. Of course you're going to be scared. Do you think that they had bad intent?
In my opinion, they did. First of all, let me reverse that for you or your audience or anyone listening. Is it all right if someone sneaks into your room and grabs your little kid, your little boy, your little girl?
No.
I don't think so. I investigate crimes as a private investigator for murder, kidnapping, and so on. And I assure you, I've never had anyone ever tell me this statement. Well, there are good kidnappers and there are bad kidnappers. I just never found that to be true, ever. And so why does the alien get a pass? That's a lot of that's programming and people hoping that they're here for some other better reason than to save the planet, fix the ozone hole, and a few other things they haven't done for the last 6,000 to 10,000 years.
And that brings up a very good point. A lot of people feel that they're here for the greater good of humanity. Some people feel that it's for, obviously, bad intent. So when they did it the second time, and they came to you and there was two of them, did they actually take you on their craft, or was everything there? How did that experience go? They
did take me away, and that was the most horrific part of it was because when they took me away, they took me away from my parents. It's one of the worst things that can ever happen to a child. I can't even begin to tell you the horrificness of being taken from your parents, literally kidnapped from them by something that, not even a human being, something that with skinny, long, spindly arms with long, slender little fingers. And, it just is just beyond the pale.
And did it look like your typical Hollywood gray alien? Or did they?
They did not. They both looked the same. They had perfectly round eyes, not the Hollywood, literally the Hollywood version, which has the elliptical eyes tilted up to about 20 degrees. They had perfectly round eyes, and that wasn't unusual to me because I'd never seen one before. And people asked me later, what is it? Why do you think they had round eyes back then and these other kind of eyes now? And I said, well, what I was looking at back then was a Ford, and what you're looking at today is a Lexus model. And they are models. They're not aliens from other worlds.
When you say they're models, they're not aliens from other worlds, where are they made?
Well, that's a really brilliant question, in my view. I think that and let me back up a little bit to fill your audience in on this real quick. There are 7 primary kinds of aliens that are referred to in UFO phenomena, and some people see or hear or think they've seen others, but generally most people can consider 7 primary ones. One of them is the little gray guy, stands about 2.5, 3 foot tall. Then there's another one that looks just like him, that's about 4 or 5 foot tall, that is referred to as the doctor. In other words, you're going to get cut on, mutilated, or anything like that happens, or your cow's going to get mutilated. That's the guy that's probably going to do it. The next guy looks like a reptile. The other guy looks like a giant prey mantis, about 7 foot tall. The other two are, one of them is a human-looking guy. Some people call it Nordic, but the fact is they have red hair, black hair, and blonde hair, not just blonde. And the last one is a guy that someone, as he saw him on the craft one time with 8 other people, he said, it looked like a Wookiee. And I said, is there a name that other people might identify with that? And he said, yeah. He said, Bigfoot. He said, it was standing there too. My point is, every one of these creatures, you look at them and think about it for a little bit, the reptile, the mantis, the human, the simian, or the Bigfoot, where in the world would this DNA come from? Probably planet Earth. In fact, you could take the DNA from planet Earth, take it out to a larger craft, which we have some film of, and you could make what is referred to as a transgenic work. And for those that want to figure that out, all you got to do is type in the word transgenic on Google or Bing, and then hit images, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what we're already doing as human beings with it, and it's pretty scary stuff. But then what you do basically is take the DNA from this planet, and you manufacture, hatch, or clone these type entities and send them back here in a UFO, and guess what? Well, they're aliens from other worlds. I've seen their craft. Although when the little gray shows up, sometimes he's only got 3 fingers, and some of them don't have an opposing thumb. How do you suppose an alien that doesn't have an opposing thumb builds a spacecraft that can do all kinds of amazing things that these do? Well, somebody else made the craft for them, obviously. Somebody has outfitted this whole entire operation to make it look like they're from another world, and they're here to save your planet.
Now we're going to get into an even deeper question. If this is all being simulated as, there's a craft out there that's cloning these creatures to come here to Earth to harvest more DNA and continue to kidnap people and do animal mutilations and crop circles and whatever else and whatever agendas they continue to have. Who is controlling this at the top level? Is this some type of sentient cyborg computer system that has decided to assimilate mankind via clones, similar to that Tom Cruise movie that came out recently where there's that black pyramid in the sky and it's harvesting all the Earth's resources and it's really just a giant sentient computer system?
I wish it were that simple, but it isn't. And from what I know, and I don't know everything. I wish I knew all the answers. If I did, I would tell everybody everything. But I can tell you a lot about what I do know from the work that we've done and the DNA collection that we've done, and from some of the other things we do, even the investigative aspect of this, where we go through the MO of the creatures, the different ones, what they do, how they do it, and exactly who benefits from the human mutilations, as an example, or cattle mutilations, or other kinds of mutilations, and why they tend to do that sort of thing. So we have an investigative arm that does that as well. But the bottom line is who's behind the big story, so to speak. There are basically only two alternatives that I can offer your audience, and one of them was presented by Sitchin in his voluminous writings and books about. He says the Anunnaki came down from the heavens, and to the earth they came. Theoretically, he was quoting Hebrew, but that's not what it says in Hebrew at all. In the Hebrew text, it says that there was a war in heaven. They were kicked out. So if we quote Sitchin correctly instead of the incorrect rendering that he put in his book, which bothered me, why can't a guy who speaks Sumerian and ancient Hebrew translate Hebrew correctly? I couldn't figure that out unless it was to sell books. But the fact is, anybody who studies basic Hebrew can read the ancient text, and it is crystal clear that whoever came down out of heaven didn't come on their own accord. They were booted out. There was a war, and I suspect that war is still ongoing. The other view is that the so-called Anunnaki were not just space beings who came down here, but were in fact fallen ones. And if that is true, and there seems to be a good body of evidence to support it, but if that's true, they are directly involved in a transgenic program and have interfered with mankind several times of history that there is record of, historic record, by the way. I don't mean somebody recently writing a bunch of stories and saying, oh, yeah, this is what I think happened. I'm talking about you go to ancient documents and you find that evidence is present. Therefore, again, if that's true, and everyone has to accept whatever they want to accept or buy into whatever they want to buy into, you can think they're here these guys are all aliens from other worlds. But it just amazes me that somebody showed up to me when I was in the sixth grade. And that's not true. That's not third grade. In the third grade in in Mayhill, New Mexico, in the third grade, in a one-horse town, and I mean literally a wide place in the road, and this 7-foot-tall praying mantis being standing in front of me, as scary and as bizarre as that thing was, it didn't take me long to figure out the next day something was seriously wrong with this picture. I like animals and have rescued probably thousands of animals, easily thousands over my lifetime. I mean thousands, from everything from peafowl to rabbits to vultures to hawks, owls, and even the tigers, lions, and so on. But my point is, I love animals, and animals seem to like me very well. But the next day, after my abduction encounter, which was supposedly a good event for me, I went out and found myself pulling the heads off of little grasshoppers. There were thousands of grasshoppers out there. They're just eating everything up. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't stand the face of that grasshopper until I got it real close to my face, and I realized that's the thing, like the thing I was looking at last night. And again, I never told my parents any of this because I knew they'd never believe a word of it, and I just had to deal with it on my own.
So it just looked at you?
No, he didn't just look, but the point is that when someone, if someone tortured or hurt your child, or you, if you were the child, and you could see that person's face, you probably would want to throw darts at them. If they had a picture of their face the next day on the wall, you probably want to throw darts at it. There weren't any pictures of it. All I found was an insect that looked just like him.
Jeez. Has this happened more than a couple of times? It
has. So my abduction period started in 1952 and ended in 1965. For 13 years, these events went on, and ended violently when I was 17. And after I was 17, I thought nothing else seemed to have been going on, and I just thank God that nothing else was going to happen. That I was so happy. And then when my son was born, when about 6 years old, a little older than 6, I believe, I woke up at 2:30 in the morning at our home in it was New Caney, Texas. At the time, we lived on 4 acres in a ranch home, and I ran through the house about 2:30 in the morning, and I ran past my son's room because I knew he wasn't in that room. I knew this feeling from before, at least 10 times prior, and I ran as hard as I could to the house and stopped and found him. They had returned him in the living room, and he was standing there, looking outside the glass door. And I watched him for quite a while. My wife finally walked in, and I said, "David, what are you looking at?" And he says, "The little red light out there." And, of course, that was the screen memory that they would leave with him, that nothing happened. But the fact is something did happen. It was quite horrific and forever altered his life. I dealt with it much better than he did. Well, it was a bad dream, all right, but it was all real, and he wasn't a clown, and I kept shaking my little head back and forth, no, because I wanted to remember him for what he was and not for what he wanted me to think he was. The next thing I noticed is this is the next morning, I'm laying in my bed, and he's gone, and my parents came in, of course, and I looked at them, and I just never said anything. But I was so visibly upset that the next night they put me between the bed, which is real unusual, and I was grateful for that to happen because I was really frightened about maybe they'll come back. Maybe this one will come back, whatever it was. And the next night there, I was in between my parents. I told my mother this year, she's 84 years old now, and I just told her this story, and she was just shocked. And she said, "But how can you remember this?" And I said, "Because I was there, Mom." And I said, "You had me sleeping between you and Dad. Dad sleeps on his right side." She said, "That's true." And I said, "You sleep with your arm over your face like this?" She said, "I do." And I said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because I was there, Mom." What, you guys? And I woke up immediately. I realized something was wrong. It was the same feeling I had the night before, and there were 2 of them standing at the end of the bed. The same guy that was there last night and one that looked just like him. Now, how I know the difference between the 2, I can't explain. But I guarantee you, if I saw that first cosmic skinhead in a herd of 1,000,000 of them out there, I could pick him out, and I don't know why.
I haven't heard that term before, cosmic skinhead.
That's what he is.
Now, did you get like an overall, I know you said he was trying to convince you that it was a clown, and you were scared. I mean, that's obvious. Of course you're going to be scared. Do you think that they had bad intent?
In my opinion, they did. First of all, let me